Other video and it looked like one Browns insider is spilling the beans about the entire organization and this current Shedeur Sanders is
This man you see right here, his name is Daryl Reuter. He works for the Cleveland 92.3 The Fan. It's a sports radio show in Cleveland.
The Cleveland Browns are supposedly rolling out the red carpet for Sanders, but behind that velvet rope there might just be a trap door waiting to snap shut. A Cleveland insider just dropped a shocking claim saying the team, along with head coach Kevin Stefanski, has been secretly setting up Sanders from day one. What's really happening in Cleveland right now? Is this a quarterback rescue mission or a full-blown sabotage scandal hiding in plain sight? Word on the street is that the Browns basically turned their locker room into the Hunger Games quarterback edition. Only this time, the player they didn't actually want to see win was none other than Sanders. According to one Cleveland reporter and a few suspiciously silent folks in the front office, this wasn't a fair competition at all. It was a scripted drama pre-approved by management with the ending already decided before a single pass was thrown. That's wild. Let's make one thing crystal clear. The Browns love to preach about competition. They've got that word painted across the walls like it's some kind of holy message. But when you actually look at what's been happening between Sanders and Dillon Gabriel, calling it a competition feels like calling a clown show a leadership seminar. It's a straight-up performance. Then came the Cleveland-sized bombshell from local reporter Daryl Reuter. He didn't spell it out word for word, it probably because no journalist wants to get blacklisted from the Browns press box, but he definitely hinted that the team has been grooming Dillon Gabriel for the top spot since the start. Yeah, that's right. The same Dillon Gabriel who's been in college long enough to collect a pension check. Something fishy's going on in Cleveland, and this time, it's not just bad luck. It's looking like a setup with a smile. This dude's basically the Van Wilder of football, 6 years deep in college and still being hyped up as some fresh young prospect. Like, come on!
He speaks on the Cleveland Browns, he covers it, but he just exposed the Cleveland Browns and on their motives and what they got going on. He explains to you how Dillon Gabriel is who the Cleveland Browns the whole time was preparing for.
Meanwhile, Sanders, who actually looks and plays like a real-deal NFL quarterback, is stuck fighting for crumbs in second-team drills, and the Browns want us to believe this whole circus is just about readiness? Please. Now they're all walking around acting shocked, pretending like this wasn't the master plan from day one. Suddenly everyone's confused, shrugging and saying things like, well, he just wasn't ready. Yeah, right, rumor has it the entire thing was engineered. We're talking practice reps, offensive formations, even which receivers line up next to who, all carefully planned to make look inexperienced and unprepared. That's not competition, and that's manipulation with a clipboard. And let's take a moment to appreciate how ridiculous this is. The Cleveland Browns, one of the most chaotic franchises in NFL history, acting like they finally cracked the code for quarterback success. This is the same team that turned quarterback graveyard into a league-wide meme for 2 decades straight. The same franchise that made Johnny Manziel look like a Wall Street dropout instead of a Heisman winner. Yet here they are, passing judgment on who's ready and who's not, based purely on vibes. It's laughable. But before we go further, let's rewind and talk about the man who blew this whole thing wide open.
Use for Shedeur. It's going to take the owner stepping in and saying no to Stefanski, but I'm going to tell you what tears me up about this. They have the 4th easiest schedule remaining. They have what Pro Football Focus ranks the #1 defense in pro football. It scares me because Stefanski is going to fight for his life and his job and his draft pick, a 3rd-round pick in Dillon. It tears my guts out to watch what's happening to Shedeur with a chance. This is on a silver platter for somebody to take the reins. So I'm not loving this for Shedeur unless Jimmy Haslam just steps in and says, okay, that's enough. We have to get
Daryl Reuter. He's not just some random blogger typing hot takes in his mom's basement. This man's been covering the Browns for years. When he starts hinting that something smells off, that's not gossip. That's experience talking. He's confident, articulate, and has enough credibility to make the Browns PR team start sweating. Sanders isn't just playing football, he lives it. The man carries himself like a pro, walking with the kind of confidence that says, I belong here. But in Cleveland's old school football culture, that confidence doesn't sit right. They don't see it as leadership. They see it as a threat. Meanwhile, Dillon Gabriel, he's the dream employee. Smiles on cue, nods at everything, doesn't question authority, the perfect yes sir kind of player. And in that front office, that's worth more than talent. To them, coachable doesn't mean a guy who learns fast. It means a guy who doesn't talk back. They don't want a quarterback who thinks.
Insider Daryl Ruiter just exposed the truth behind this so-called quarterback competition. It's not real, just like I told you guys. It's rigged. The Browns front office never wanted Shedeur Sanders to win the job. They've been pushing Dillon Gabriel from the start, and now Ruiter is peeling back the curtains. As you guys see, he's been going back and forth through this competition thing, and he's been having a lot of pushbacks. He had guys like Albert Breer, who is flat out racist, who calls out things against Shedeur, but he pushed back on what
They want one who salutes. And the irony of it all, Cleveland's front office actually thinks they're being strategic, but all they're doing is scripting their own sequel to 20 more years of mediocrity. They're allergic to swagger, terrified of personality, and obsessed with appearances. They want a quarterback who photographs well, not one who can win games under pressure. And it gets crazier. During training camp, the reps weren't just random, they were designed. Dillon Gabriel got the best receivers, the most polished formations, and cleaner defensive looks. It's like watching a magic trick where you already know how it ends. The sleight of hand is right there, happening in broad daylight, and they still call it a fair competition. What a joke. Then there's how they label too independent, too media-friendly, too confident. Let's be real, that's just corporate code for he doesn't follow our PR script. NFL teams love to preach about leadership, right up until the quarterback actually starts leading himself. That's when they panic. And here's where things take a darker turn. Word around the league says there's outside pressure too. Sponsors, executives, even league insiders whispering behind closed doors, all pushing to keep quiet, contained, and under control.
Had to say there was a post where Albert talked about how Dillon is ahead or whatever, because clearly guys like Albert and Mary Kay are bought off to go within the.
Why? Because a young, confident quarterback with legacy, charisma, and a voice of his own? That's the kind of player who shakes the whole system. And apparently, Cleveland isn't ready for that kind of revolution. The Browns aren't protecting a legacy of winning. They're protecting a brand of chaos. That's their real reputation. Every move feels like it's less about football and more about keeping their circus running smoothly. So when someone like Sanders steps into the building with his own mind, confidence, and presence, it's panic time in Cleveland. The front office doesn't want energy or personality. They want control, order, predictability. And he's the complete opposite, individuality in human form. Andrew Barry, the general manager, probably sees his potential. He knows the kid's got the it factor, but let's not kid ourselves. Barry's not running the full show. Jimmy Haslam, the billionaire owner, is the one pulling the strings, and half the time, he's too busy juggling the Milwaukee Bucks and whatever new business venture he's chasing that week. That's classic Browns. Chaos dressed up as strategy. Honestly, it's kind of impressive how consistently they manage to turn promise into confusion. Think about it. No other franchise can take a good thing and ruin it this fast. They draft a star, hype him like a hero, then break him down mentally before the first regular season snap. It's a cycle of chaos that never ends. You'd think after decades of heartbreak they'd finally learn, but nope. The Browns have perfected self-sabotage like it's an art form. It's as if they wake up every morning asking,
if they'll make the switch, because they've spent so much time telling us Gabriel's the guy and Shedeur is not ready. We've heard that from the beginning. He's not ready. He's not ready. He's learning. He's coming along. Not ready. Not ready. Not ready. Are they really going to make him ready?
You that if he's not ready, how bad is he if this is what they're willing to play?
That's what I'm saying. Like, they told us that he's not ready. He still has a lot to learn. Gabriel is ready. And if Gabriel looks this bad in this offense, again, I want to see Shedeur. Don't hear what I'm not saying out there. I want him. I want to watch him play. I think he's got the most potential, but I'm like, and then if he comes out and balls out, how stupid will the coach?
How can we ruin a good thing before kickoff? And once again, it's the latest casualty of that system. A guy who did everything right, came in focused, prepared, humble, and confident, only to get punished for it. Because in Cleveland, being yourself is the fastest way to the bench. They don't want stars, they want soldiers. They don't want leaders, they want quiet followers who nod and smile. And heaven forbid you've got a social media following. To them, that's witchcraft. A player with influence, that's their biggest nightmare. The saddest part, fans keep falling for it. Every preseason, they see headlines about quarterback competitions and think it's real. When deep down, the script's already been written, fans really think the best man's gonna win. But that decision was locked in the moment the draft card hit the table. The so-called competition was over before it began.
How do you possibly continue to throw Dylan Gabriel out there? Like, is Stefanski's brain cooked?
No, this is what it is. Kevin Stefanski would rather lose his way than win a different way.
Because it's dumb.
He'd rather
he's
lose with his quarterback than win with another quarterback.
But it's the dumbest thing I've ever seen, and there's a lot of ego attached to that, and there's a lot of pride attached to that he just needs to relinquish and let go, because at this point, Shedeur is the only saving grace he has. Dylan Gabriel stinks. That's his guy, and he stinks. You need a quarterback that is much better than what you can coach, and you need a quarterback that can put you on their shoulders and take you with you, and that's not.
And the media? Oh, they're just as guilty. Some of these reporters might as well have Browns logos stitched on their blazers because they'll say anything to keep that team access alive. They won't challenge the script, won't question the setup, because rocking the boat means losing their golden ticket to the locker room. That's why when Daryl Ruiter actually dares to speak up, it's like spotting a UFO. Shocking, rare, and you're not sure if you'll ever witness it again. He's one of the few with the guts to say what everyone else whispers off camera. He sees through the illusion, the PR smoke, and the fake smiles. Now let's clear something up. Nobody's saying Dylan Gabriel is some kind of villain. The guy's not the problem, he's just the safe choice. The company quarterback, he fits perfectly into Cleveland's playbook of mediocrity.
Hath frozen over because I'm now in lockstep with everybody else. It is time. It is time for the Cleveland Browns to do what everybody knows they need to do. Right now in the moment, Dylan Gabriel can't play. I don't know that Shedeur is better. None of us do, because we've never seen him play an NFL game. But I know this for a fact. He's not worse. I know that as a fact today, because you can't possibly.
Predictable, compliant, low maintenance. He won't cause waves, won't question decisions, and definitely won't call out authority. He's convenient. And in today's NFL, convenience is currency. But here's the twist. Talent always finds a way. When that moment comes, and it will, all those same analysts and insiders who dismissed will flip the script faster than a halftime adjustment. Suddenly they'll be tweeting, "I always saw the potential." Yeah, sure you did, right after the rest of the world did. It's the same tired cycle every time. First they doubt, then they deny, then they rewrite history like they were supportive all along. The NFL runs on selective memory, but a story? It might just break that cycle wide open. Because while the Browns keep putting on their little puppet show, the rest of the league is watching and taking notes. If Cleveland lets this kid slip away again, it won't just be another mistake.
When they come and say things about Shedeur Sanders, all you have to do is say, look, I get it. Shedeur has a very, big personality and he's known globally, right? But I know Shedeur Sanders as a person, and as what I see here. He works hard, he's intelligent, he puts the work in, he's humble, he's a great teammate. And all of those things, I hope you guys get an opportunity to see that eventually when he gets on the field. And guess what? It would diffuse all bad articles and people would go away. But since you won't say his name, the vultures circle.
It'll be one of the biggest what-if stories in modern football history. Imagine having to tell your fans you passed on a franchise quarterback because he had too much confidence. That's not strategy. That's straight-up insecurity dressed in team colors. But hey, this is the Cleveland Browns we're talking about. The same franchise that once traded away a winning kicker because they didn't like his personality. These folks don't just survive chaos, they've turned it into a daily routine. So what's the next act in this never-ending soap opera? Easy. They'll ride with Dylan Gabriel until he has one rough half, then toss Sanders into the fire as the scapegoat. And when he struggles,
Kevin Stefanski is once again dehumanizing Shedeur, right? Excuse me. We're going to have to put him down before the Rams game, and he gets sacked 5 times. And now we're at the point to where he'd rather lose than put in Shedeur. Now, Dylan Gabriel has a 25 QBR rating, which ranks 32nd out of 32 NFL.
Because of course he will after getting 0 real preparation, the front office will shrug and say, see, he's not ready. It's the oldest trick in the Cleveland playbook. Same script, different season. This whole thing's like a bad daytime drama written by football traditionalists. You already know the plot, but somehow you still can't stop watching. Through it all, the Browns front office keeps flashing smiles for the cameras, pretending it's all part of the process. They're consistent, all right? Consistent at being inconsistent. And while they're busy grooming Gabriel into the next backup legend, is probably sitting there wondering if he accidentally joined a sitcom instead of an NFL team. The Browns love control. But what they don't realize is how transparent this whole act looks from the outside. Fans aren't blind.
Actually winning a couple games. Now, Stefanski, you got to get fired. Because imagine a world where your quarterback is better than you. Imagine a world where your quarterback is more desired than you. The fan base already gravitates towards Shedeur Sanders. The world gravitates towards Shedeur Sanders. Does he have his haters? Absolutely. But jersey sales gravitate towards Shedeur Sanders. There's not a world now where Shedeur can go ball and Kevin Stefanski can continue to be the coach. Because if I'm Shedeur and I start balling, hell nah, I don't want this dude as my coach. Because he didn't believe in me in the first place. And how can Kevin Stefanski now, Shady, try to turn his tune and act like he's a Shedeur supporter? The cat's already out the bag. We know Stefanski's not a Shedeur supporter. So I think Shady's to some degree right. Like, Kevin Stefanski can't...
People see through the smoke. You can't hide real talent forever. You can only delay it. And when finally gets that genuine shot, whether it's in Cleveland or somewhere else, the same folks scripting his downfall will be the first to say, we always believed in him. Because here's the thing about truth. It doesn't stay buried. No matter how hard the Browns try to spin their narrative, the truth always finds a way to leak out. And when it does, it's going to expose every fake smile in that building. And when that truth finally hits daylight, it's going to sting, because Cleveland can only hide behind PR statements for so long.
Continue to improve. Now, that does not sound like a head coach who is even considering putting this player into a game anytime soon. So she followed up with the viral question that has gone all over the internet. Why wouldn't you, just to see if it does anything to the offense, give him an opportunity to go in there and play? And Kevin said, yeah, honestly, my focus is where we are right now. That's not my focus. So I said it before, and I'll say it again. I will be shocked if we see Shedeur Sanders after the bye week. And I'm getting to the point where
You can already feel the cracks forming. Reporters are starting to ask tougher questions, players are side-eyeing the coaching staff, and fans on social media are connecting the dots. The quarterback competition storyline isn't holding up anymore. People can sense it's rigged. It's like watching a magic trick when you already know where the rabbit's hiding. Insiders are saying that even some veterans in the locker room are quietly backing Sanders now. They see the way he moves, calm, confident, composed, and they're starting to whisper that maybe he's the spark this franchise actually needs. But the front office? Oh, they're in panic mode. Because the second this story gets too big to control, the whole house of cards comes down. Stefanski's doing everything he can to keep order, but it's slipping fast.
I don't know how to say this, but Dylan Gabriel shouldn't be ahead of the ball boys. Every time I watch him, I think to myself, they can't be.
There's tension everywhere. Coaches second-guessing calls, players rolling their eyes in meetings, and PR handlers scrambling to clarify misunderstandings that keep popping up online. The Browns are trying to silence a storm with a press release, and it's not working. And here's where things get really wild. Word is spreading that other teams are already watching this mess closely. Scouts from rival franchises are quietly taking notes, waiting for the moment Cleveland finally cracks, because they know what the Browns refuse to admit. A quarterback like Sanders doesn't stay buried forever. Once he gets the reins, he's going to light up the field, and everyone who tried to hold him back will look like fools. This isn't just about one player anymore, it's about power. Who gets to decide what kind of talent fits the mold? The Browns built their system on control, but the league is changing, and the fans can feel it. The new generation of quarterbacks don't just throw passes. They command attention, shape narratives, and move the culture. And if Cleveland can't handle that energy, then maybe they deserve to watch do it somewhere else. Because one thing's for sure, this story's far from over.
Serious with this kid. Now, these are actual professionals who are calling out what needs to be called out. Case in point, the training camp observation he talked about. He said he offered insight how a lot of the reps were not only non-reps, it was even the schemes of play calling to make Shedeur look bad. Browns are emphasizing on intensity and that Gabriel is being prepared for more significant playing time than Shedeur. I had a video I just dropped where certain media pundits acknowledged that the Browns are literally preparing only Dylan and not
The Browns thought they could script the ending, but the plot just flipped, and the truth is starting to roar louder than any press conference. And this time, the truth isn't just leaking, it's pouring straight out of Cleveland. Let's call it what it is. This was never a quarterback competition. It was a coronation. The Browns picked their favorite long before training camp even began, then dressed it up as some kind of merit-based battle to fool the fans. They're not developing quarterbacks. They're developing narratives. It's not football management anymore. It's damage control and shoulder pads. If you've followed the Browns for more than 5 minutes, you already know how this story ends. It always ends with the same tired, "we'll get him next year" speech and another front office meeting about fixing the culture. It's the Cleveland classic: hope, hype, heartbreak, repeat. They keep promising change, but somehow always find new ways to trip over their own playbook. What's wild is how predictable it's become. Every season starts with promise, new faces, new slogans, new energy.
The players on this team, even though the season is a loss, they need a boost of energy. Shedeur Sanders needs to be out there. The fans want to see him. This organization needs to see them, especially when you're sitting here with 2 first-round picks next year and you need to make a decision on the quarterback. Let's see, even though the roster is incompetent in some areas, but let's see what a change at quarterback can do for the morale boost. Let's see what his skill set can actually get out of what's going on in this situation.
And before long, it all melts into the same soap opera we've seen 100 times. The Browns have turned dysfunction into an art form. No other team in the league could take a situation this promising and twist it into this level of chaos. It's almost impressive at this point, but let's be real. Fans see through it now. The masks are slipping and the act's getting old. You can dress up favoritism as strategy all you want, but people know the truth when they see it. And sooner or later, that truth is going to blow up bigger than any PR spin. Because once Sanders gets that real opportunity, whether it's in Cleveland or somewhere that actually values him, the same front office pretending to doubt him now will be begging to rewrite history. So sit back and enjoy the drama while it lasts, because the Cleveland Browns are once again proving that if there's one thing they do better than anyone, it's turning potential into a full-blown soap opera. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share if you want more breakdowns like this, and I'll see you on the next one.